This is Jim Rockford. At the tone, leave your name and message. I'll get back to you.
You are full of bullshit, my friend. I will sue you for everything you have. I will sue your ass.
All right, I recorded and I canned in advance the Raider Broncos game preview before I recorded what I'm recording now. And this has to do with the Antonio Brown nonsense. Don't say I didn't tell you so. Me and all the other voices of reason out there who was thumbs down, didn't know what we were talking about. Remember Sports Talk Radio, bring him in, bring him in, bring him in. That's that issue off to the side. It seems that Antonio Brown probably will not be a factor. He'll be suspended. It appears that way. So, and it's Thursday today. This is my quick take: is that I don't believe he ever was going to be that big of a factor to begin with in this game, and I'll give you my reasons why. I don't even talk about Antonio Brown once, but when you listen to my pregame, you'll understand why that Antonio Brown wasn't even brought up. So I just wanted to say that I never felt that Antonio Brown was any kind of a factor for Monday night's game anyway. So, but, obviously he proved those of us who were trying to talk to the majority that wanted to get him. Get him. We said, no. Why we were right, and this is why I have a show, right again. Denver Broncos Mile High View, no commercials, no bullshit. Okay, this is the bottom line with the game concerning the Denver Broncos versus Oakland in Oakland. Number one is intensity. Oakland is going to be totally fired up. We did see an intensity problem with the Broncos in training camp. I don't know if the Broncos are going to have a problem per se with intensity, but what you will definitely have is that intensity by the Raiders, being that this is the last home opener in Oakland. So they're going to be pretty fired up. So the Broncos are going to have to handle that intensity, however they do it, matching it or executing. So offensively, I believe the Broncos should have the advantage. If they're supposedly upgraded with Scangarello as opposed to Musgrave, Flacco as opposed to Case Keenum. We all know the offensive line, as far as football focus, it's overrated. It definitely got issues there that aren't brought up in the statistics. That's where they come up with this 11th, 12th best garbage. Flacco's going to have to get rid of the ball sooner rather than later. We're going to see. Now, they should be able to at least have some effect running the football on this team. And there's question marks with the tight ends. We don't know if the extent of Fant's injury. Can he go 100%? If he goes 100%, will he re-aggravate the injury? Will this last, throughout the season, or during the season, halfway through the season? That's a question we don't know about. Even though the Broncos should, as Sports Talk Radio said, at least have a chance at scoring 24 points, we got to see, this isn't the toughest defense they could be going up against. So the fact they have the element of surprise, it's a young defense, and what do they really know? They got an idea of how to cover it, but they really don't know. So the Broncos offense should be able to take advantage of that, that game planning advantage that they should have. Now, defensively, nobody in Sports Talk Radio or the media, nobody wants to talk about the Broncos' run stop ability. This game for the Raiders is going to hinge, and if Gruden's worth his weight, worth his salt as a head coach, he knows he's going to have to gouge the Broncos' defense with the running game. Why would you make this a David Derek Carr sling fest just to prove Antonio Brown? I just don't think that going into this game they would want Derek Carr to pass because that just, I think their strength is actually running the football. I think that would be. And the other thing that Derek Carr could do to help ease that pass rush is exploit the Broncos underneath, those linebackers. Just quick 3+ second drop, throw, drop, throw. This is where the Broncos are going to be tested. Now, I'm hoping that the Broncos can shut down their running. If that happens, then they're going to have to just strictly rely on underneath stuff. And, you know, that's going to make it a lot harder. I think that if the Raiders have to pass, they're going to be in deep doo-doo. You know, they're going to be screwed. On the conversely, if it turns out the Broncos cannot stop the Raiders' run, the Raiders will have them right where they want them. They may, you know, they may not only win this game, but they may actually score a lot of points. And, of course, the alarm bells are going to just start going off in Denver. I predicted a Bronco loss in this one. They lost their last meeting, if I'm not mistaken, or the last time they were in Oakland. You know, the Denver Broncos don't have this game just in the bag. But they do have some advantages they can take advantages of. But I want to say something else. I believe there may be some home cooking for the Raiders. I think the NFL would like to see the Raiders win this, not because they care about the Raiders so much, but it's all about this Las Vegas move. And I don't think they really care what the team is, even if it was an expansion team in Las Vegas. They really want to promote this Las Vegas move. And this would be a good game to promote that Las Vegas move because you know that it's what they want is to have Super Bowls in Las Vegas. This has really been something probably on the NFL's mind. Now the NFL can have Vegas Super Bowls. So I think that they'll be promoting that. So I think this is going to be a lot tougher game than Sports Talk Radio wants to admit. I don't think it'd be the end of the world if they lose the game. I don't think this is a must-win. It's definitely a game that you'd want to win because that gives you a leg up in the divisional standings right off the bat. But I don't necessarily believe that it's a must-win game. I do have them beating the Bears the following week. And then I'm going to assess the other teams. Again, I don't have as much faith in this tough schedule. I'm not saying it's not a tough schedule, but I really think that a lot of the teams are overrated out there. The Broncos may actually even be an underrated team. Even though I said they were 8-8, the consensus is that they're not even going to be that. I think that's a little bit ridiculous because I think you're giving these other teams far more credit than they deserve. Like I said, will the Broncos defense, that's the bottom line, will the Broncos defense get gashed in the running game? Nobody talked about this, and I kept bringing it up that I'm not convinced. And this will be a test. Barring that Gruden is the coach that he's supposed to be, at least, a halfway decent. I can't imagine them just wanting to go pass happy. If they go pass happy and have success too, then Katie bar the door. Then you really should panic, but I don't think they would have success personally. I think that would be a recipe for disaster for the Raiders. I think, their bread and butter is on the ground initially. I think that they could cut up the Broncos underneath, exploit the linebacking. And, I don't think the Raiders necessarily have the best tight end in the league, but it will be a gauge to see how this guy does. I think he was even injured. They have other tight ends, but, it's going to be a test in that capacity. Maybe not the best, but a test nonetheless. So the Broncos aren't going into this as any kind of sure bet. But I also don't think it's some sort of a must-win either. I mean, the Raiders are going to have to get to Mile High, and it's a tough place for them to beat the Broncos. So, I'm looking at a Bronco loss in this one, a close game. But I'm not hoping for that. I'm hoping that the Broncos can shut their run game down, and the Denver Broncos offense gives that young defense fits. And that's what I'm hoping for.